here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth.
Welcome back to the Mastering You podcast with Natalie Newhart. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get to work. All right, guys, I am pumped to be back here recording episodes for you guys. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the most important episode out of all of them. And that's going to be centered around vision. And I talked a lot about this in my last podcast, in my old podcast called Fit Chick for Life. And this is still something that is just that I believe is at the top of the chain as far as being like what's important to creating, peak health and vitality in your body, to mastering your life, to creating the life that you choose. And so creating a vision is what we're going to be talking about today. And so this is the most important thing that you do before you take any action. Like before you go to any seminar, before you hire any coach, before you before you start a new diet plan, before you start a workout plan, before you try to get a new job or you try to get a new relationship, anything, this is going to be the most important thing. And I just can't stress it enough. If this vision isn't dialed in, then I honestly wouldn't start doing anything, because you really need to have clarity around what you want and why you want it. And what that means is, a lot of people actually don't really know what they want. They kind of have maybe an idea, but they don't have really good clarity around what they want. And so we really have to spend some time honing in on what you want, why you want it, and painting the most clearest picture around it so that it lights you up when you think about it. Okay. And this is why it's like literally the first thing that we do inside clients in my self-mastery program is we get like super duper clear about what it is we want, to the point where it's like our heart is just, it's like bursting with passion. It's like we can't even wait to get out of our chair and start working on it. That's where we need to be. And so being that this podcast is one that's centered around mastery of your mind and body, we really need to, that tells me that you're interested in that, right? That you're interested in mastering your mind, mastering your body. And so we really need to get clear about, what does that mean to you? What does self-mastery mean to you? What does mastery of your mind and body and your life look like? What does that feel like to you? And you have to get clear about this, because I can't tell you, like I could tell you what my vision is, but it's not going to, it may help you, give you like an example of like how I think and stuff and what lights me up, but it's not going to be the thing that lights you up. Right. And so my vision is going to be very different from yours. And, my vision, when I think about my vision, like you'll notice when I start talking about it, it lights me up. Like it's like energy starts coming through me. Like my heart starts getting just growing. I feel like this passion, this inspiration when I start talking about it. And that's because it's really deeply connected to my heart. It's the thing that like pulls on me. It's like the thing that my soul is just dying for me to create. And whereas if you were to tell me your vision, like, whatever it is that like lights you up, it wouldn't light me up the same way. Okay. And so it's really important that, you spend time thinking about what it is that you want, why you want it. And it's really important that you get so clear about it that the vision turns something on inside you, right? It turns on this like fire, this passion, this fuel, this inspiration, this energy, turns on your heart, call it whatever you want. This energy that you start feeling when you start thinking about it, that you'll start to kind of experience when I'm talking about my vision, it's the thing that's going to gives you the fuel to every decision you make, every action that you take. And this is why it's the very first thing that we must do before creating anything. It's why this is the very first thing that we do inside the self-mastery program, because if this vision isn't there, then there's no fuel to get us to take a different action, right? To break that habit that we've been inside of, to get ourselves unstuck, to do something different, right? Fear and just being comfortable, staying in the same place is just going to keep us, repeating patterns and keeping us stuck in, where we are in life. So, so I'm going to just talk about like vision, how to train vision, and then we'll finish with what is that, like kind of getting clear about around your vision, just asking you some questions so you can start to develop a picture in your mind of what that is for you. So first things first is like, what is vision, right? What is a vision? Because, some people know what it is, but a lot of people like, with these like self-development kind of programs and stuff like that, they tend to talk more inside of goals and like benchmarks, New Year's resolutions, stuff like that. Right. And so vision is not that. So vision is not a goal. It's not a benchmark. It's not like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. Oh, I want to make, X amount of money. Oh, I want to win this race. Oh, I want to, I don't know, like, start a business. Like, it's not just that, right? It like those are goals. And like the thing about those things is they don't turn on anything inside of typically, right? Like without the vision of like the life that you create, like losing 10 pounds doesn't light me up, right? Just thinking about that alone. But if I think about like the feeling of vitality in my body and running up a mountain with ease and like just, sitting at the top of the mountain and meditating in nature, and I feel so alive and so connected to my body and so grateful for my body, and I feel powerful, I feel strong, I feel like I can jump across rocks, I can climb trees, I feel like just so full of life, so full of energy. Like that's totally different, right? Notice that I'm not thinking about the weight loss. I'm thinking about the vision, like the life that I create as a result of feeling a particular way in my body, right? So it's a feeling, not a look. And this is the difference. So we really want to, we really want to get inside of the life that you create. It's the picture inside your mind of the life that you wish to create, that you wish to experience, the person you wish to be, and bringing up all those feelings and all those pictures that come with it, right? And so that's what vision is. That's the difference. And this is why, yeah, like this, and when you like, just when I was describing that, like when I start closing my eyes and I start talking about it, I can feel the energy roll through me to a point where it's like, I'm just like, I can't wait. Like it gives me the energy to do something, right? Like I want to go run, or I just want to stretch, or I want to just take care of myself. I want to, I want to do this podcast with like enthusiasm and passion, so it's, you can tell that just by putting my focus on a vision, it brings energy, it gives me energy. Okay. Whereas a goal or a benchmark, it's not going to give us energy. In fact, it tends to actually suck the energy out of us because we start thinking about all the things that we need to do to reach this goal, how hard it's going to be, how long it's going to take, how much effort it's going to require. Like, it really sucks the energy out of us. And this is why like New Year's resolutions they don't tend to really work very well, because they just, there's no passion behind it. There's no energy that's fueling you to make these decisions. Instead, it's more like, I need to do this. I have to do this. I should do this. Okay. And so it becomes very exhausting and very easy to give up. So vision makes like, why have a vision? The vision makes three things possible. Number one, it gives us something to focus on. Number two, it gives us context on our decisions. And number three, it gives us motivation, right? It gives us that energy. So we're just going to dive into that a little bit deeper. So vision gives us something to focus on, right? So essentially our mind is always thinking about something. It's always focused on something all throughout the day, even during our sleep, right? It's always thinking about something. And so if you don't give your mind something to focus on, it will focus on whatever the hell it wants, Okay. It will focus on, other people, maybe like on social media or, like whatever, anybody that you run into. It's going to focus on the conversation you had earlier with somebody. It's going to focus on, um, your to-do list. It's going to focus on maybe the clock, how much time you have left. It's going to focus on maybe what you don't like about your body, what you don't like about this person, what you don't like about your house or your car or whatever. It's going to focus on, yeah, like responsibilities, and maybe it's going to focus on food and overanalyze food or whatever, right? Like the mind just focuses on anything and everything, right? And if you let the mind think itself, if you aren't the one directing the mind, then it tends to focus on the things that we actually don't want, right? It tends to focus on all these things that I just said, and like things that are going wrong, like problems in our life, how we don't want to do something, how hard something is. Like this is just where the mind goes for all of us. It's just natural for it to do that, because the mind, the way it's designed is it's designed to like assess threats, right? Assess fear and and look at problems and overcome problems. And so it's just always we're, as a, we have this animal instinct of like just survival, a survival instinct. And so that's just kind of the way it always thinks. So we have to train the mind to think a certain way. We have to train the mind to get out of this, always focusing on what we need to do, have to do, should do, and starting to focus on like, what do I want to create? Right. And so that takes training. And most people are unaware of like what the mind is thinking. And this is why they never create the life that they choose, because they just let the mind just think itself, right? They have no direction. They're not directing the mind to think a particular way so that you create a particular outcome. And this is where we spin, right? This is where we can get inside of just loops, right? And Groundhog's Day of just repeating the same patterns and thinking the same things and creating the same outcomes, etc. So number one, like having a vision gives us something to focus on. Number two, vision gives us context. So it tells us what decisions to make throughout the day. What actions do I take? Do I eat this cookie or do I have a salad? Do I eat right now or do I eat later? Do I work out today or do I rest? Do I cram my schedule with all these things, or do I make sure there's time for myself? Right. So it's like, it directs us on what decisions, what decisions we need to make in order to create the outcome that we choose to create that vision. But we need a target. We need a North Star to inform us on what to do. Okay. And this can be a little tricky, right? I want to emphasize this because we can get to a place where we are so hyper focused on creating something, right? We're creating like, an outcome, like we're creating a particular body, or a particular business, or making X amount of money, or winning some race. And so if we make the vision more important than how our body feels, it's really easy for us to exhaust ourselves. Like we can just spend all day and all night like working around the clock, right? Because we want to achieve this thing. And what happens is if we stop listening to our body, we can get out of flow. We start to overspend our energy and, forcing ourselves to work more, to do more, when really what our body needs is some rest. So we can't create what we want when we feel like 10%, right? Or 50%. It's really hard, when we don't have the energy or the clarity, or we're extremely hungry or something like that. When we're not taking care of our needs for the body, it's very difficult for us to create what we want, and also for us to enjoy it because we don't feel good. Okay. And oftentimes, if you're not listening to your body, if you're not taking good care of your body, that is going to be the thing that starts to give you, all sorts of symptoms like, headaches, stomach aches, food sensitivities, body aches, joint pain, digestion issues, um, you know, like adrenal fatigue, metabolic damage, hypothyroid, autoimmune issues, all this stuff. And that's just from driving ourselves too hard and not taking good care of the body. So it's important that we have this balance of, okay, I know what I want. I have this North Star, this vision that I want to create, but in the process of that, I make sure that I take care of my body. I take care of myself. I take care of my that what I need, what my body needs. And then once my body feels good, and it stays good, that's always an ongoing process. Then it's like, okay, I use this body to create the things that I want in my life, right? The vision. So overall, like, vision gives us context. It tells us. Hold on, my mic just kind of went out, I think. Yep, it did. Okay, so we're just gonna go here. Okay. So vision gives us context. And, without this North Star, we tend to just, like, if we don't have a vision, if we don't have this North Star to guide us, we tend to just do the things that, like, we feel like doing, right? And usually that's just going to be based on an emotional level, because everything that we do is driven from whatever energy is inside of us, whatever emotional energy that is inside of us. Every single action that we take starts with a feeling that we have inside. So, for example, it's like, if you notice, like, the things that you do, that, like, the actions you take that you aren't proud of, that you regret, or that don't align with where you want to go, you'll notice that those actions tend to be taken from a place of, like, sadness, guilt, shame, unworthiness. I'm not deserving. I don't feel good about myself. I don't like myself. It's like those anger, frustration, anxiety, overwhelm, all those things. Like, when we're in those sort of, what would I say, like the contracting energetic states, those feelings where we're like, we don't feel expansive, we don't feel good. We tend to take actions that don't serve us, right? That don't align with what we want or who we choose to be. And so, and when that happens, we end up somewhere, right? Like, we just, we eat when we feel sad, or we're, I don't know, we are trying to people please. We try to take care of everybody else and be the people pleaser instead of taking care of ourselves. We are maybe, we are afraid of gaining weight, so we force ourselves to work out and we restrict calories. Like, we start doing all these things. We start making all these decisions that are not serving our highest good, right? It's not taking the best care of ourselves, and it won't create the life we choose, right? The feeling our best, and which requires, or creating what we want, which requires us to feel our best, right? So the point of that was, so if we don't have this North Star, then we end up just kind of doing things based on what we feel like in the moment. Oh, I feel like having a drink. Oh, I feel like eating some food. Oh, I feel like, I feel like I need to do another diet plan, right? Or I feel like I need, to do all these things. I need to cook the dinner, clean the house, like all these need to, should tos, have tos, like feeling like, basically trying to fuel your importance or your worth through doing things for others, so, and so it can be really challenging to see when you're in those places that aren't going to create what you want. And so this is why it's really helpful to have a coach. But so this is why it's also, obviously really important to have a vision, because we want to see when we're taking actions that aren't going to take us where we want to go. We have to understand why we're doing that, because there's some type of emotional pattern, some type of energetic pattern, feeling of unworthiness, lack of self-love, some type of sadness, anger, shame, whatever, that is driving particular actions that will never take us where we want to go. Okay. So number 3 is vision gives us motivation. So vision. Okay. Like, when I think about my vision, okay. So for example, my vision, just kind of pay attention to maybe, how I start sounding, my tone of voice, all of that, right? I'm just going to start to close my eyes and really get inside my vision. So when I think about my vision, I think about myself running up a mountain. And I feel just so alive. I feel at one with nature, and I feel my blood rushing through my veins. I feel like my heart pumping, and I just feel like this sense of invigoration. I feel life. I feel strong. I feel powerful. And I feel like I can go forever. I feel like I can go for days. And it's just like a sense of lightness. It's almost like the energy is moving through me. It's not even me trying to run up a mountain. It's just like I'm running with the wind, like something is moving me. And at the top of the mountain, I feel just completely just at one with nature. And I feel completely at peace, so content. I can just sit there and just feel the life pumping through my body. I can feel connection to nature and all animals. I feel connection just sitting there on the earth. I feel at one with everything. I feel just absolute peace in my mind. I feel an absolute love in my heart. I feel love just emanating off of my body. And I feel this love for everyone and everything that I look at and everything I see. I feel this connection with everyone. And I feel this sense of compassion and understanding for myself and for everyone, knowing that, I can really see and understand what drives everyone and myself to do the things we do, to wire certain things. And it's just it feels like a sense of power, like a sense of invincibility and compassion and to help others. And it feels so good to help others. It feels good to work, with other people and helping them create the vision of their choice, helping them create the life that they choose, create vitality in their body. And when I eat, I choose foods that make me feel alive. I'm very conscious of what I choose. When I sit down, I eat mindfully. I really taste my food. And I'm aware of when my body actually needs food. I'm so sensitive to when it's just going for wanting to feel good or a taste, and versus when I actually need food. When does my body actually need energy, fuel? And it feels so good to just treat my body with that care. So as you can see, like I can go on and on, right? I can just continue to go. And when I do this, it's like you can feel my passion for movement come up. And then you can feel like my sense of love or my sense of peace when I talk about meditating or, choosing foods that align with what's going to support my body the best. And you can see, like, as soon as I start talking about this stuff, it connects me to it, and it gives me energy. It gives me power. It gives me fuel. Call it whatever you want. And it's this energy that gets me to do the things that are going to align me to and get me to take the actions that are going to take me to where I want to go, and step into this version of myself that I see in my mind's eye. And so we all have like those things that we could be doing that we're not doing, right? There's some, like for me, for example, it was something that I was been recently working on. So I just got done with a fast. And one of the things I really wanted to do is get really more in tune with, my body's sensations and knowing when is it just wanting to taste something versus when does my body actually need food. And because for, a long time, I've trained the habit of, I just, when I get hungry, I just want to eat, right? Or when, like, it's not even when I'm hungry. It's like more like, that sounds good. Like that sounds like fun. I want to taste this, right? And then I'll just go eat. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to create vitality in my body. It's not going to allow me to feel my absolute best, and because it's going to start to make me feel heavy, and food doesn't like usually, food isn't shouldn't be the thing that gives us joy, right? We shouldn't go to food for happiness. Instead, it's like asking, what else can I do to bring me joy or to soothe me in this moment, or to like what sounds fun right now, what lights me up, what is my heart calling for? It's like finding other things as opposed to just food, because if I just find food, then I was just going to feel more stagnant, more heavy, more lethargic, etc. So we all have that thing that we could be doing but we aren't doing, right? And there's some pattern that is present within us that keeps us repeating those same actions instead of doing the thing that you should do, right? So for example, for me, when it came to food, it was like, there's an energy present that keeps me wanting to feel like I need to have food, right? Oh, I need to have it right away, right now, and I need to eat it all. There was like a fear of missing out or a fear of survival, some type of energy driving that action. Or maybe it's like, oh, I really want to taste that. Again, there's an energy there feeling like joy attached to food, as opposed to, finding joy through other things. So it's not, it's not that we don't know what to do. Like I know that, oh, if I'm not hungry, I shouldn't be eating, right? It's getting ourselves to take that new action that that's the problem, right? So it's not knowing what to do. It's getting ourselves to take that new action that most people struggle with. And this is why like knowing what to do is not enough. You can't just like listen to this podcast. Listening to this podcast isn't going to change anything. Yeah, it might give you some new awareness. Like, oh, that seems, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it doesn't change anything, right? You have to go in and rewire and do the inner work. You have to retrain the energies inside your body that are causing you to take these actions. And although it's not the only thing that gets us to break the habit, vision does motivate us to do the work. So, to develop new skills and so that we can break it. So vision isn't going to be the thing that actually breaks your pattern. However, it will be the thing that drives you to work on yourself, to cultivate the skills, to hone the skills, to work on yourself so that you can break through your patterns and create your vision. Okay. So excuse me. So for example, like I said, I struggled with food for years, right? I was tracking food. I overanalyzed food. I restricted food as a result of restricting food and, doing plans and stuff like that. I ended up binging on food. I was impulsive with food. I just ate when I was bored or sad or felt a certain way. And I also ate a lot of processed foods, like things that were like low calorie, 0 calorie, lots of sugars, etc. Right? So my vision alone of wanting to achieve peak health and vitality and take the best care of myself wasn't enough to change it. Wasn't enough for me to change those patterns. I had to develop many skills before I could break through all those habits, right? I had to see and understand why I was going to food in the first place. I had to develop and hone the skills of an acute awareness of what I was thinking and what I was feeling at all times and what the sensations in my body. Like I had to create this awareness and also create a different relationship with these things so that they weren't driving me. I had to just like see it as a show, like watch the show. And I had to also I had to rebuild trust with myself. I had no trust from years of just binging and not trusting myself around food. I had to rebuild that trust. And it took me many, many months, right, to rebuild that. I had to see myself, or I had to build my self-worth back up, right? I had to not make my my self-worth dependent on my appearance. I had to learn how to take care of myself, which meant like resting and loving myself and feeling deserving of whole foods and natural foods and time that like slowing down and not cramming so many things into my day. Like I had to feel worthy of doing these kind of things for myself. And then once all these things were in place, once I had all these skills, it was like the gates opened, right? The gates opened and that allowed me to break through my habits with food and all sorts of habits, like, just how I live my life, like how many things I put in my day, just everything. And that has ultimately taken me to my vision. Okay. My vision of peace, love, and vitality, peace in my mind, love in my heart, vitality in my body. And so I just want to say that the vision alone isn't going to change it. Right. But vision does get you to take those actions, to start to work on yourself, to do the work on yourself so that the vision can become a reality. And the thing is that most people motivate themselves through fear, through pain. They say like, oh, I want to look this way because, because they want the attention, it makes me feel more loved. If I want to be seen, I want the validation. I want people to look at me and think that I'm, oh, wow, she must work so hard. Oh, wow. Like, she looks so good, to get a compliment, or, to get a pat on the back or whatever, so it's like, whether that be, I want to make this amount of money, I want to achieve this thing. It's all saying that, like, I'm not lovable until this happens. I'm not lovable unless XYZ happens, and unless I make this amount of money, unless I, have this body, unless I achieve this outcome. It's like, I'm not good enough as I am right now. And what happens is, like, when we drive from that energy, we're essentially running away from this feeling that we're not enough. We're running away from this feeling of unworthiness. And we have the high hopes that the body, like having the body is going to fix it, having the money is going to fix it, having the, winning some event is going to fix it, having the relationship is going to fix it. But it doesn't work, and we end up just punishing ourselves, exhausting ourselves. We end up placing our love and our worth in all these outside things. And so it doesn't, we never develop that feeling of, I'm doing this because I love myself. Like, this is just my passion. This is how I take care of myself. This is what I want to achieve. And it's so important to me. And this is what I'm going to do. Like, it's coming from a place of, like, unworthiness, right? I'm not good until I have this thing. I need this thing to feel happy. Quick interruption. Hey guys, Natalie Newhart here. If you resonate with my message and would like to learn more about how to master your behaviors, create peak vitality in your body, and live a more effortless life, then click the link in the show notes to set up a 30-minute coaching call with me. On our call, we'll take an assessment of what's standing in your way from becoming your best self and the steps to overcome them. Okay, back to the show. We must love ourselves first. We must feel like we are deserving first, that we are already enough, so that every action comes from a place of love instead of a place of fear or unworthiness. And this will make all the difference, because if you're coming from the place of unworthiness, this is why every workout, like if you're trying to achieve a certain body because you are seeking validation, or want to impress people, or want to be complimented, your workouts will feel very hard. Like, they may be all right in the beginning, but eventually, like, it's going to feel like a chore. It's going to feel very difficult to motivate yourself. It's going to be very difficult to eat well. It's going to be very difficult to turn down foods, like certain foods, sugar, stuff like that, because it's not coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of, like, I'm wanting other people to love me. Essentially, you're like, I've placed my love outside of myself, and when it's not coming from your own heart, it's it just makes it like twice to 10 times as hard, right? And you'll know when you're there, because everything will feel difficult, right? Everything, like your food choices, everything you do, your habits, your morning routines, like, or whatever, all the actions that you need to take to create whatever it is that you want will feel like an uphill battle. So this is why it's so important that you get really, 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 really clear on why you want the things you say you want. This vision that you have, this thing that's important to you. Why is it so important to you? And from my experience, it's really helpful to have an outsider to help you see if you're driving from a place of fear or love. Because it's really easy to say, like, oh, I just want to see what I can do, right? And like, that was my that was like my thing when I was trying to, like, win all sorts of competitions. So I just want to see what I can do. But it's like, well, why is that really important? Like, why is that so important to you if you won this event? Like, what do you think it's going to give you? And to me, or like, what I wasn't able to admit back then, I just said, oh, I just want to see what I can do. But really, it's like, I placed my self-worth on my performance, like how well how hard I went, what place I got, how strong I was, how fast I was, whatever, and I also placed my love outside of myself. Like, oh, if I got first place, or if one of the best athletes, it's like more people would see me, more people would like me, would know me, would want to talk to me. Right. So it's like, I wasn't aware of it back then, but I'm very aware of it now. So, so it's helpful to have that outsider just helping you see whether you're driving from a place of true, love for yourself, or whether you're trying to you seek happiness from this outside thing. Okay. So on top of that, all those three things, okay, vision gives us purpose. So we need something to strive for. Even if it's like, oh, I want to feel more calm, I want to feel more at peace in my day, I want to have better relationships, I want to feel good in my skin, I want to be a better mom, like whatever. If we don't have that thing to strive for, if we just do the same thing every single day, what happens is we just get bored and we get depressed and we have no purpose for why we're waking up every day. There's nothing that gets us to like pumped to wake up. We're kind of just like want to stay in bed and like not really do anything. But then at the same time, we're tired of like not doing anything. It's like there's just no passion there, right? So vision will give you that passion. Vision will give you a purpose for why you're waking up, and give you the energy to do all sorts of things through your day. Okay, so that's another reason why vision is really important. So vision also keeps us from a couple things. Vision keeps us from creating what we don't want. Vision, like people who thrive physically, right? So people who have maybe a particular body or have a certain level of fitness, a certain level of vitality, they think a certain way, they feel a certain way, and they act a very particular way, right? Like those people are going to think, feel, and act very differently from somebody who is not very active, right? They're going to, like, people who are not very active are going to see working out as a chore. They're going to see it as hard. And I'm not saying that that's bad or anything. It's just showing you how it all stems from things inside you, right? The energy inside you. Somebody who really likes art, is going to think and feel a particular way around art, versus somebody who's probably really interested in fitness, like somebody who's maybe interested in fitness isn't going to really care for art. Like it's just not going to, they're not going to think and feel the same passion for it. They're not going to want to take the same actions. People who thrive financially, they think, feel, and act a certain way, right? So they have a certain way of thinking about money and, or maybe what they do for work, their career, all these things. People who thrive in relationships, they think a certain way about other people. They feel a certain way. They act a certain way. They're very kind, and they want everyone to succeed. They see everybody as, as connected, as one, as opposed to somebody who's like trying to compete, right? That competition will push people away. So the point is just see that it's all starting from inside. The way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act is determining your outcomes, who you are, and the habits you have. And whether you're aware of it or not, so whether people are aware that they're thinking and feeling and acting a particular way, like sometimes people, some people do it consciously. It's because like that's what they want. They know what they want, and they make that like their vision, their number one, their target. Whereas, and they train themselves, right? They maybe they surround themselves with those kind of people, like intentionally. Or there's also people that do this unintentionally, like people who are like have parents that are naturally fit, right? That they grew up with fitness and they grew up with a love for fitness, and they naturally just hang around people who are fit. Like that may be done unintentionally, unconsciously, right? But it's still, they think and feel and act a certain way. So if you're trying to make a switch, like if you're not lucky enough to have all the qualities already trained inside you, like from your parents, around like the vision, the plan that you have, vision is going to be your roadmap that tells you how to think, feel, and act. Okay. So let's say if you're somebody who is not really into working out, right? Like, or maybe you're in a phase where you're just not there anymore, or you used to be, but you've kind of gotten into a funk. So vision's going to be your roadmap to how to think, feel, and act. Okay. In order to create that outcome. Okay. And, without vision, the average person just, without the vision, the average person just says yes to things that just show up in their life, right? not because it's part of their plan, because it's, part of their vision. They just they just say yes to food, right? Oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'll just do that. Yes to a drink. Yes to kids. Um, yes to being the caretaker for others, like people pleasing. Yes to more clients. Yes to more money. Um, yes to a relationship, right? Like they just will say yes to certain things without being really clear if that things aligns with what they want, because they haven't named what they want, and they're not focusing on what they want. Okay. And so what happens is when we just start to say yes to these things without seeing if it aligns with what we want, we just end up somewhere, right? We just end up somewhere in life, and we tend to not really end up where we want, right? We often end up we just end up in a place that we don't want to be. Either we end up sad, or, in a body that we don't want, in a relationship we don't want, in a life that we don't want, with responsibilities we don't want, etc. And so this is why it's so important to have that vision. Like, this is the kind of stuff they should be teaching us in school, right? If that was the case, then everybody would be creating the life that they really desire. And so vision also keeps us from creating the thing that we think we want, but then end up missing the mark. So what I mean by that is, you can set a mark, you can dedicate your entire life to it, you can attain it, and then still feel completely lost and empty inside, right? So a good example of this is, maybe an actor or somebody who's making a lot of money. They say, like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. And they work their entire life trying to be a millionaire. And then they make their millions, and once they have everything they want, the house, the money, everything, they're still not happy, right? We hear this all the time. Same with, I want to win the lottery, right? And so, I mean, even though they didn't really probably work at it, that was kind of more luck, but they can have the money and from winning the lottery and still not be happy, or even actors, it's like they have it all. They have this idea of, oh, I want to be famous, and I want to be known, and I want to make lots of money. And then they get there, they spend their whole life achieving it. They finally attain it, and they're still not where they still don't feel happy. Right. And we hear about these people committing suicide, unfortunately. It's no different from, when it comes to a body, like, oh, I want this body, I want this six pack, it's going to be great. And then we get it, and it's like, oh shit, like, I still don't feel the way I want to feel, right? I still don't feel peaceful. I don't feel content. I don't feel freedom. I always feel like I always have to be looking better, achieving more, working harder, etc. And so, so we, um, so we tend to think that these things will bring us that feeling of happiness, that feeling of peace, of freedom, of joy, of love, right? If I make this money, if I win this competition, if I look this way, if I run this marathon, if I have this, amount of fame or success or whatever. And the thing is that they don't create what we want, because things are not what we want, right? Although we tend to think that way. We tend to think that these things will bring us that feeling. But what we really want is the feeling, right? The whole reason why we set goals and benchmarks and New Year's resolutions is because we're after a certain feeling that we think it's going to create for us. We think that the body's going to give us this sense of happiness, love for ourselves, or we think that this relationship will create love in our life, right? Like, we'll love ourselves more. We think that this money will create freedom. We think that this money will create joy or peace, but it doesn't. And the reason why is because you never change the energetic patterns inside you, right? Like, just having more things can often cause, making more money just creates, you have all these responsibilities now, and, you're even more anxiety and more overwhelmed with all the stuff you have, and you're still afraid of, like, losing your money. Same with, like, the body. It's like you can create the body, but it doesn't mean that you have peace and contentment in your life, because now you're afraid of losing your body, right? Once you have the body, it's like, now I feel, wow, shit, I gotta, like, analyze every single I eat. I got to analyze every minute I work out and force myself to the gym when I don't want to go. It's like it's just, that's not fun. Like I've lived that. It sucks. It really, really sucks. So it's interesting because once we have these things, then we fear losing them. So, it doesn't create what we want. And unfortunately, people just jump from diet to diet, relationship to relationship, job to job, thinking that these things will bring them the happiness that they're looking for. And then what happens is they achieve all these things, but they still aren't happy. They still feel anxiety. They still feel fear. They still feel panic, overwhelm, unlovable, unworthy. They still feel like they need to do more. It's never enough. They still feel sad. And so it's like, well, shit, man, like, what's it all worth then? What good is having all these things? If you're having all the fame and all the money, and if you don't feel good inside, like, to me, just, I guess, it's the worst. Like, as soon as I don't feel good in myself, as soon as I don't feel happy, if I don't feel like, I don't feel proud of myself, I don't feel worthy, if I don't like, as soon as I feel sad, or like any of these feelings, and it's okay to feel everything, but it's like, as soon as I don't feel good, that's like the one thing that's on my mind is, how do I feel good? That's the only thing I want to do, right? I just want to go back to feeling good. I want to feel good, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally. I want to get back to feeling good. I want to get back to feeling at peace and having fun in life and smiling and laughing and, joking around and goofing off, and, and also just being completely content to just sit out in nature, or just, without feeling like I need to do a bunch of things, so yeah. So it's like, what is it all worth if we don't have, what is it worth if we have all these things and we're still miserable inside? If we still don't have that inner peace and that contentment that we truly desire, then it's none of doing these things is worth it, right? And so what we want to do, vision allows us to really create from the inside out. We first work on creating peace, creating love, creating vitality inside of ourselves. And then as a result of feeling that peace and that love, so that peace in our mind, our love for ourselves, vitality in our body, as a result, we create the life we choose. Okay. We create the life that we desire through this. So the big question is, well, how do we do that, right? We have to train this. We have to train these internal qualities. And how we train these qualities, how do we train these qualities? We have to be willing to do three things. Okay. So in order to create our vision and create this really the feelings and the experiences that we want, the peace, the love, the vitality, and the life that we create as a result, we must be willing to, number one, stop doing something we've never done before. Okay. And we also need to start doing something that we haven't done before. We need to stop doing something that we're currently doing. Sorry. We need to stop doing something that we're currently doing. And this is going to mean like the certain things that we're thinking, certain ways that we're feeling, certain actions that we're taking, right? Again, it all comes from the internal side. We have to change those energetic patterns from the inside out to change the outcome on the outside. And we need to start to be willing to start thinking, feeling, and acting differently. Okay. And so those are the first two things. And this really requires us to really, to be able to do these things, to start and stop doing these things. It requires us to really understand why we're doing these things in the first place, to really understand ourselves. What's keeping us stuck? What's keeping us repeating the same patterns? Why do we keep thinking the things that we're thinking, feeling the same things? We really need to understand ourselves on a deep level and develop a very keen awareness to our mental, emotional, and physical state, right? And these are the skills that needed to be developed. Is this a sense of the sensitivity, this awareness? And this is really where all the work is done. Okay. And then on top of that, we need to start building skills such as trust. We need to start to build trust back within ourselves, and self-love, learning how to take good care of ourselves instead of just so that we're not just spewing our energy to all these things outside of us and never have the chance to create what we actually want. Okay. And then number 3 is it will be scary, right? And so to take these new actions and to stop doing some of the things that we've been doing. And we need to be afraid and take action anyway. So it's a matter of really committing ourselves to our vision fully, because it's going to feel scary to take that leap, to drop the diet plan, to maybe say no to this relationship, to end the relationship, to rest when you usually work out, to sit still in the most busiest times of your day, to maybe turn down clients, like give up clients because it's not creating, what you want in your life. And so, we have to say, things like even just saying no to meeting a friend, or saying no to the husband for cook, like, I don't want to cook dinner. Um, so it's even just like, being able to plan less in your day, allowing more space and time. It's going to feel super scary to do these things, but we have to take that step to create the change that we want. Okay. Otherwise, without making those changes, nothing changes. And what will happen is we'll maybe take a little tiny step, and then we'll get scared, and we'll fail many times, over and over and over, right? But we keep trying. We keep learning about ourselves. We keep understanding why we're failing, why we keep repeating the same patterns, and we keep developing those skills that I talked about until we fulfill that mark, until we fulfill that vision. And it's just like, a baby learning how to walk. It's like, oh, they take a walk, they take a step, they fumble. They're like, they kind of process. I don't know really how much they process, but what we need to do is process, what went wrong there, what happened, why did we fall? And we get back up and we commit to trying again and again and again. Okay. And, part of this process is you're going to stumble, you're going to fall on your face, and you just get back up and you continue to understand yourself, work on yourself, and prepare for, the next opportunity to align yourself with your vision. And it's when we stop trying, it's when we stop taking those steps, is when we start to spin inside Groundhog's Day, and repeat the same pattern over and over and over, and never ever making any progress, and oftentimes just, kind of maybe even going backwards, because we just start to lose that trust in ourselves. We start to believe that we can't do it, that it's never going to happen, and we don't believe in ourselves. And so we actually start to go further away from our vision. So, but the thing is that the knowing what to do is not enough, right? We must practice. We must develop the skills. We must learn how to understand ourselves. We need to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, what's keeping us stuck. And then we need to execute, right? We need to rewire the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, with the person that you see in your mind, right? With the person that we need to be to create that vision. And then we train that with repetition over and over and over and over until it becomes our reality. And transformation is complete when you don't feel like you need to think out what step you should take. It just becomes automatic. You start to think like a naturally fit person. You start to think like a person that thrives financially. You start to think and feel like a person that thrives, in relationships, etc. You start to think and feel like a person that takes care of themselves, and creates vitality in their body. So, but this sensitivity and this understanding and this awareness with ourselves is something that must be trained. It's not natural. Most people are unaware of how they're feeling and what their mind is thinking on a moment-to-moment basis. And especially in the Western world, right? The biggest difference between like the Western mind and the Eastern mind is, Western people don't really think about what they're going to say when they're having a conversation. Like they let alone like maybe process it or even hear what the other person is saying. Us Westerners, the Western mind the Western person often talks over the person, like starts talking before the other person has actually finished talking, or they're thinking about what they're gonna say before the other person has stopped talking, or they're thinking about something completely different, like what they got to do later as somebody's talking, right? And then when they, they speak, they just speak with like what's reaction, like what they're quick to fill the void. If there's a space of silence, they get uncomfortable, and they just like fill it with maybe just something that's maybe superficial, or not even what they like, not what they intended. Maybe they say something about like the weather, or maybe they react a certain way that doesn't create the outcome that they want, the connection that they want. Whereas Eastern people, they take their time. They take a minute to pause, to really hear what the other person is saying, and then they take time to like interpret and process what that person just said to them, what they're asking, and then they assess like how they want to respond, to create the desired outcome that they want. Like what response will take me to the connection I want to create here, or the what is my intention for this conversation. So what way of speaking will what do I want to call it, will fulfill my intention. So that's kind of, that's just an example of like how how Westerners really, it really doesn't come natural to be aware and intentional about what we do. And so, we really, and that's just because of the way we've been brought up, and we're versus how the Eastern side of the world has been brought up. So this is something that, for most people, that awareness never comes unless it gets trained. Okay. And so yeah, like I said, knowing is not enough, right? And so we need to cultivate many, many skills so that we have the ability to create the life we choose. Okay. And this is what I teach you inside my one-on-one program, right? Is like how to develop, not just how to develop, we actually develop these skills. Like the whole program is about retraining you, rewiring you, realigning you from the inside out. And with that, you're able to create whatever it is that you want, because you have all the skills to create it. Okay. And so if that's something that, if you really have a strong, strong desire to create a better quality of life for yourself, and you are willing to do the work that's required to do that, then I can absolutely 100% show you the path on how to get there. I've got, inner training meditations, even have like an app that you can take with you and just listen to these meditations anywhere, in any place. We've got intense discussion calls, and of course the one-on-one coaching with me, which is probably the most important part. But yeah, so it's like I have all the tools, that the trainings and the technologies to get you to where you want to be, to create whatever it is you want. So it's not going to be easy. I would definitely say that it's not easy, and it's not going to be fast. So, and that's why it's not for everyone, right? And that's okay. Like a lot of people are just comfortable just staying in their same patterns, and, watching Netflix every night, and, just having a average life. And that's okay, right? And if you don't have that fuel for like, I must do something, I have to create, I want to create this for myself. If that fire isn't there, it's going to be very challenging. For this program will be very challenging. Okay. But if you have that strong desires to wanting to change yourself, to wanting to improve yourself, then, we would be a good fit. And so, yeah, like I said, it's not going to be easy or fast, but it will absolutely be worth it. So if this is something you guys are interested in, send me a DM, email me, or click the link in the show notes below so we can hop on a call and get you started. All right, so we're going to end it there, guys. Much, much love to you, and we'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mastering You podcast with me, Natalie Newhart. I hope you're feeling more empowered and inspired on how to master your mind, your body, and your life. If you don't want to miss your next training with me, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you consume your podcasts. And definitely connect with me on Instagram. I'm natalie.newhart on Instagram. Much, much love to you all. Until next time.
The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us.